Over the past 115 episodes of The Gold Room, we've had the privilege of sitting down with some of Australia's most respected mining leaders.
Don't forget the ROTI coefficient. ROTI coefficient, return on time invested.
Don't live your life in the middle of the bell curve. If you want to be an entrepreneur, then just do it. Just say yes. Say yes more often.
Just back yourself here. This industry is a great industry to be in. It can create opportunities for you you can't imagine. It can take you to places you've never been.
Welcome back to the Gold Room podcast. Over the past 115 episodes of the Gold Room, we've had the privilege of sitting down with some of Australia's most respected mining leaders, CEOs, founders, operators, and entrepreneurs who have built companies, navigated challenges, and helped shape our industry. While every conversation has been different, one question consistently produces some of the most thoughtful answers. What advice would you pass on to the next generation? We've gone back through the archives and pulled some of the best responses. Whether you're starting your career in the industry or whether you've been in it for decades, I think there's something here for everyone. Listen, enjoy, and comment down below. What's the best advice that you've ever received?
Look, this was advice I got pretty early in my life. Probably the first real mentor I had was during my undergraduate university years. I was in all the honors programs at the school, and we were in a small Jesuit university in California. And so we had these really great mentors from like the local business community who would, come in and literally buddy up one-on-one with the students in our program. And I had this mentor named Patrick Yam, and he's been through everything and seen it all through like the really exciting booms and busts of the various different market cycles of U.S. capital markets. And so this is somebody who's got a lot of life experience, right? And there's knowledge and there's wisdom, and wisdom is the product of knowledge times pain, right? Like it's there's a big difference between like book knowledge and wisdom. And one of the things he said to me, and it was like one of the first things he said to me, and it's one of the things he reminded me about like ever since. Anytime we spoke,
You still keep in contact with him?
I do. So when I rarely am back, in the U.S. for an extended period of time, but I try to catch up with him, every probably 5 years or so when I'm back in California, and I keep in touch with his son by email. His son's gone on to be like a biotech. Well, I don't know how we call it, but like a health tech CEO of a company that Patrick has helped guide to this really interesting technology.
Amazing.
But he said to me, like, don't forget the ROTI coefficient. And, you learn all these things when you do your education, and all these like, acronyms and, all the, the ratios and stuff that you're supposed to know as like rules of thumb. And I was like, what's ROTI? And, because you have like return on capital investment, return on equity. And he goes, ROTI coefficient, return on time invested, right? And it was one of those things you can't understand that when you're younger and you're 10 feet tall and you're bulletproof and, you can run through walls and you've got all the time in the world. But as you go on in life and you realize you have to spin wheels and you have to fail and you have to face difficulties and, kind of get your scars before you really learn these valuable lessons, because again, it's the difference between something you read or something somebody told you and
That's
experience. Awesome. But return on time invested, right? You have to choose very carefully the people with whom you associate, and you have to choose very carefully to what you commit your time, because the wrong people will consume your time and waste it, and the wrong opportunities
will be missed.
The good opportunities will be missed if you're spending all of your time on something else, and you have to make sure you're not pouring too much of your time into something that is not delivering a return, whether it's not even just financial, but what's good for you personally, right? You can burn yourself to the ground chasing things that you think are, financially meritorious. And I have made this mistake. And I've made this mistake to then realize like, oh God, I should have listened to this. Like, but you don't realize it until you're sort of in it. Return on time invested is a really important thing. And that is as important. The ROTI coefficient. Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's as important to choosing what you're going to go into, and also important to knowing when it's time to step out of something. no one person is the right person for a given role or mission for all of time, right?
For sure.
There is somebody who can do it better than you, and I'm acutely aware of this, right? My job is to get us to the point where I've leveraged my skill sets to get us to a point to bring in somebody who's better than me, who can do this job better than me, and let me go back to doing what I do best to empower them to do what they do best, right? And I do joke with our investors, like, the faster you see me fire myself, the faster we're going to be successful, right? And that is, self-awareness, return on time invested. It's one of the best things I've ever been told, and it would have been one of the best things to have paid attention to sooner.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
The best advice what's the best advice, Pete?
Look, I personally, it would be, I've been so lucky that I married a wonderful lady, and she's stuck with me through the tough times. and the
Three
good
beautiful
times.
children, you said?
Three fantastic boys, Oscar, Banjo, and Finnegan.
Banjo?
Banjo's the middle one.
Awesome.
Oscar and Finnegan. So
Wow.
I've been blessed, but she has been a rock, right? Because it's been tough. I mean, I really get emotional about, when shareholders are losing money, you feel it, right? And you've got to let people go and stuff. And so, your partner bears a lot of that, and she's been incredible, and she's been very supportive. She's given me, sort of things to help to deal with it and stuff like that. Always, she's been amazing, and I couldn't have done it without her. So that's the first thing. Have a very supportive partner, and tell them what's going on through thick and thin, so they understand why.
Communication's key.
Communication. And sometimes I'm not very good at doing that. She would attest to, but most of the time she gets it out of me eventually. And then the other one is, as I said before, you got to sell some. When you've got to take some money off the table, and I always like to see when guys take money off the table, not when they sell it all. There's been one recently, I won't mention the name of the company, where sort of everyone sold every single share that they had, and sort of that was a bit unexpected. But I think on the way up, you should take some off the table. And I didn't. I mean, I did a little bit, but way too early. So but you can't look back either. You got to look forward, and that's really difficult. So, but yeah, I mean, and the other one that's really important is mentors. I had some fantastic mentors, and I didn't think of them at the time as mentors, but I look back on it now, and my mother was amazing. My dad in some ways too. My grandfather on my mother's side especially, because he was an amazing, very clever guy, highly read engineer, but also big into environment, huge, big bushwalker, and I've spent a lot of time with him. He's an amazing guy. As I got older, I really understood the value of that relationship. But then all those guys I worked for, Alan Evans and Brian Phillips and Ken Fletcher, Brian Davis. I mean, amazing guys, and so knowledgeable, and also really willing to, teach people. And you had to prove yourself. I remember when I first worked for Brian Davis, he wasn't sure about me, and I remember going up to Geraldton, and I didn't tell him I was going to go and see. I went to the port without seeing the boss of the port, and it got back to Brian, and he was really cross with me. And I sort of tried to sort of basically say, and then I just went, Brian, I stuffed up. And I think he really respected me for basically falling on my sword.
Yep.
And after I did that, I think the relationship between him and I changed. And I still speak to him today. He's in his 80s now. He's retired. He's always interested in what my career's doing. He nicknamed me the Gucci deckhand because I wore a pair of designer jeans onto our first shipment out of Geraldton, and he was on there having a beer. And he said, "Oh, you got your Gucci bloody shoes on, mate, or your Gucci pants on." So I was the Gucci deckhand. He still calls me that today. But look, I mean, those people really, because I didn't know much about mining, so they taught me about the industry, and they were great. So it was that mentoring is really key, and I sort of urge any young people in any industry to get mentors, even if they're just not, it doesn't have to be like, oh, you're my mentor. It's just someone who you respect. And I love it now when my friends' kids get in contact with me and say, oh, Pete, can you help me? And we've got one young bloke now, Hugo, who's up at site, who came in for an interview, really just to have a chat. And now he's a fieldy up at site. He's awesome. A geo, doing all the work up at Western Queen and loving it. So that's fantastic. I love that.
We finish every episode with, we have of late, with the same question. What's the best advice that you've heard or been given?
The best advice I have been given was to never apply for a job that you don't want. So this was particularly relevant for me when I had finished my PhD. Was trying to decide what the next steps would be, feeling quite desperate. You know, you need a job. You know, what are you going to do? And my supervisor at the time, you know, because I was ready to just start applying for, and at this time I was mainly interested in academia, but you know, I was willing to go anywhere, do anything, just needed a job. And he's like, you know, be picky. Like, don't apply for something you don't want, because if you get it, then you've got some really hard decisions to make. And turning down a job that you might not want, it's hard to turn down a job and then, you know, realize down the track that might not be the one you want.
Yeah.
So
take a job and then realize,
right,
oh,
exactly.
I'm a struggle street
This
here.
isn't the-
I
yeah.
don't like these people. I don't like the work. Yeah, that can be difficult.
But
I've done that. I've made that mistake multiple times.
I mean, it's always a learning. You're always going to learn something from it. But yeah. So I thought that was good advice.
Last question for you is, what's the best advice that you've ever heard, that you've been given by anyone?
Don't sweat the small stuff.
That's
It's really simple. And keeping a positive outlook. I was reading a book many years ago. I can't even remember the title of it, but it was all focused on gratitude. And so part of my my morning ritual when I get to the office is I've got a little stone on my desk that I just touch, and that's my little trigger to go, what am I grateful for? And you know, I think about my kids, my wife, my health, the beautiful place that I live, and that makes it a lot easier to get through every single day.
Yeah, that's magic, Joshy. I've actually got a it's just recently been put there, but I've got this little gold pin that I was given. It's a gold pin of Australia. It's God's country, mate. So I've been doing the same thing. I get in and I just move it along, and proud as bloody punch to be sitting here.
Love it.
Yeah. What is the best bit of advice that you've given or received?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm more likely to hand it out than receive it. It's
Beautiful.
been how I've gone through life. I often tell young people, and again, looping back a little bit to what we're talking about. If you want to be an entrepreneur, then just do it. Just say yes. Say yes more often.
Yeah.
People talk to you about some shit thing you never heard of, and just as long as it's rational, just say yes. Don't live your life in the middle of the bell curve.
Go into that. Explain that to me.
Most people do. The vast majority of people do. But if you really want to do something, get out to the edges of the bell curve. And I say, but if you're going to go out to the edge on the positive side, cover the negative. So be a scenario thinker. So if I'm going to move myself out to the positive edge of the bell curve to make something happen, then make sure you're covering your ass on the other side, right? So do a bit of scenario planning. Just don't have one.
I love that.
Just don't have one bow to your arrow. But get out there and do it. Put yourself in the way of things happening to you. So serendipity is an interesting concept. So I say to people, get out, learn things, push yourself out to the edge of the bell curve. Talk to people, learn things, be open. I think the most valuable type of intelligence is what I call a peripheral intelligence. So if you can see things in your peripheral vision that other people don't see, in a way it's sort of being serendipitous, but you're engineering yourself to be able to take advantage of a serendipitous event. You think of a lot of the really positive things that happen to people, and they've done this and they've done that. Many other people, more so than the ones you think about, will have been exposed to that same opportunity, but
They
not
just
seen
haven't
it.
pulled the trigger on it.
Not pulled the trigger or not seen it for what it was. Right? So educate yourself. Make sure that you have a chance of spotting that serendipity. Increase your surface area is another way of saying it. Just be out there, And I get people want to work from home, but man, you are not going to be an entrepreneur working from home.
Oh, working from home is the bane. Look, we don't do it. We don't do it anywhere here.
Yeah.
But working from home, you'll probably get some fallout from some people saying, "Well, there's nothing wrong with working from home,"
I would say
in some
that's
roles,
fine.
maybe if you're working in the bank or something, but horses for courses. But I'm a firm believer in making sure everyone's getting together, because a collaborative work environment is a strong work environment. I might put that on a fucking t-shirt or something.
Yeah. One to many, right?
Yeah.
So my comment there would be, if you want to stay in the middle of the bell curve, do that.
Yeah, for sure.
That's not pushing you out to the edge. So just get out to the edge of the bell curve. Say yes more often.
So many guests that we've had on the podcast, people in positions that I never thought I'd be sitting in the same room with. They all say the same thing. It's just the same thing over and over again. Say yes, say yes, say yes.
Yep.
The more time you say no, all those times you say, oh, no, maybe not, that's not for me. Obviously, it's got to have a bit of an educated guess, but at the end of the day, the more times you say yes, you're exposing yourself to more things.
Yep.
The opportunities become endless.
Yeah, and they grow exponentially.
Yeah, I love it.
If you don't do that, you're not going to be exposed to it.
That's right.
You live your life in the bell curve. There's a quote.
Bloody
Don't do
oath,
that.
mate. I love that. That's going on a T-shirt. What is the best advice you've heard or received?
I guess just listen. Don't be the first one to come out. Plans. Listen to everybody. Absorb it.
Yep.
And then make the right decisions.
Hit me with some bloody good advice, some great advice, the best advice that you've ever received.
Yeah. So the advice that I always say, and I've being a Fremantle supporter, I used to love the old Ross Lyon press conferences and see how he dealt with people and he dealt with wins and losses and everything. And I'm known amongst the office for quoting Ross Lyon a lot.
Okay.
But one of his philosophies is it's never as good as it seems. It's never as bad as it seems. So, in the good times, don't drink your own bathwater. Don't take too much ownership of the good times because it's mining. There's always going to be challenges. And what that allows you to do by not taking that ownership and not getting too overexcited in the good times is it allows you to stay steady and stay strong in the bad times as well. So, it's what you always say. If somebody comes in and gives me good news, I quite often will say, never as good, never as bad. When someone gives you bad news, it's always never as good, never as bad. It's always somewhere in the middle, and there's always a way you can work through it. So I think it's good advice.
That's bloody ripper advice, mate. I need the best piece of advice that you've ever heard or given.
Ooh, okay. There's two bits there.
Go.
So I think the best piece of advice I was given as a much younger man is you don't get what you don't ask for.
I love that. Oh, wait on it.
Right. So that, and I think that the second one I give to young people is to young professionals, whether they're young professionals or just people brand new to the sector. And, Westgold's really good now at bringing people who are not from the mining sector into the business. And I say the same thing to them as I say to the new graduates. Just back yourself here. Be the person that says yes, even if you don't have the skills to do it. If one of your supervisors, within reason, or one of your leaders asks you to do something, say, yeah, I'll have a crack at that. Be upfront. Go, look, don't have the full skills to do this, but if you show a level of humility and commitment to having a go, this sector is really good at transferring its knowledge. But it's quite selective. If and I've been lucky to work with a lot of far more intelligent people than me who, because I was either young enough or dumb enough or committed enough to have a crack, they sort of went, okay, look, not doing that right, but you're having a go.
Yep.
Let me show you how to do it right. But
how important
that relationship thing is largely built by being prepared, knowing what you know, knowing what you don't know, but being prepared to sort of stretch yourself into. That's the key advice I give young people in the business coming through, that this industry is a great industry to be in. It can create opportunities for you you can't imagine. It can take you to places you've never been, but it's a two-way street. If you commit to it,
you'll get out what you put in.
100%.
But
Much better
the amount of guests that we've had on the show,
yeah.
and they say the same thing. It's never a truer word spoken. Say yes.
Yeah.
Say yes. Give it a crack. Give it a red hot crack. Nothing more Australian than that, I don't reckon.
Yeah, because it's not about the word failure in my mind has such a negative connotation to young people. Failure is a real consequence of having a go.
Yeah.
And having a go in some sense and not getting the perfect result is still a better result than not having a go at all. So look, this concept of I try and instill in my executive team and new people to the business. This is an industry where, and I'm I guess a prime example. No background, no history in the sector, no family connections, but it's given me an opportunity and my wife to travel the world, see things we would never have seen, be given opportunities a boy from Wellington should never have been given, but was said yes to stuff, and that took provided a journey which I wouldn't change a day of.
Beautiful, mate. That's fantastic. One of the things I enjoy most about hosting the Gold Room is that no matter who we're speaking with, there's always something to learn. A huge thank you to every guest who's shared their experience and advice with us over the past 115 episodes. If you've found value in today's episode and the compilation that Reg has put together, we'd really appreciate you sharing it with someone else in the industry who might gain something from it. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll catch you next time on the Gold Room.